Wildlife Management. We formulated it back in 2017, and the mission is to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. That's it. We're not a membership organization. We lobby. We are the only organization at the Colorado State Capitol that has full-time lobbying representation over the course of the last 7 years for sportsmen and women. We partner with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. We partner with the Mule Deer Foundation, Safari Club International, and a variety of other ones. I'm also the chair for the Colorado Wildlife Conservation Partnership, which is 26 major organizations that have coalesced and come together over the course of the last 2.5 years since we beat Senate Bill 31 at the legislature, which was to ban the harvest of mountain lions and bobcats through the General Assembly. Prior to that, 3 years prior, we beat the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, the Humane Society of the United States, to do the exact same thing with this governor's current appointees in the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission. I say that because it was 11-0, 11-0, and then we went to the legislature, it was 4-1. The group that came before us last September to come and bring what was Initiative 91, which is now Proposition 127, are not the same people that we fought 2 and 3, 4 years ago. Those people are sitting on the sidelines. They're not necessarily condemning, but they're not condoning the actions of these individuals, which one is Wayne Pacelle, the former CEO of the Humane Society of the United States. And if you haven't followed Mr. Pacelle, he's no longer there because he had sexual allegations against him and they had to turn around and get rid of him, even though he was making a couple $1 million a year. So he started a group called Animal Welfare Action and the Institute for a Humane Economy. He hired a gal by the name of Samantha Brugger out of Washington, ironically, the same state that our current CPW director came from. She came here right after Director Davis took a foothold. They filed the initiative last September to ban the harvest of mountain lions and bobcats. How many people here hunt mountain lions? Few. How many trap bobcats or shoot bobcats? Your hand's going to stay up all the time for something. So I want to tell you, I talked to these guys when I first was invited here and came today. I used to hunt and trap this particular piece of property and all the way down to Crown Point, all the way down to the Beaver Creek State Wildlife Area, up on top of the Hall Ranch, the Billups property.
Are you trespassing?
Yes. I was in here all the way as a kid, and I worked with the outfitters that were down in here and some of the brothers in the families that were here at that current time. The way Colorado has changed is significant enough that the people that we're talking to don't have a clue of what Colorado actually is. They don't have a clue where we came from. They don't have a clue where we need to be, and they don't have a clue of how we're going to be able to get there. To be able to educate those individuals is a tough road to toe by itself, but the reason it's so important that they don't understand, and it's the 80% that's in the middle that don't understand. There's 10% of us that hunt, 10% of us that are antis, and the 80% in the middle, I call the In the Wind crowd. Commissioner Williams and myself, as he mentioned, sit on the Wildlife Council together. The In the Wind crowd is a group of individuals between the age of 18 and 34 that I say kind of blow back and forth like packing peanuts in a windstorm. It depends on what side of the fence or what side of the aisle they actually go on or who resonates with them first. The antis in this current administration, with Governor Polis and Marlon Reese, his spouse, or as we've been told to call him, the first gent, they are extremists. They're not animal activists. They're animal rights extremists. They don't have nothing to do with anything that Colorado Parks and Wildlife does for its mission, and they're attempting to undermine and erode and degrade it as far and wide as what they possibly can. I sit on multiple boards and committees and was appointed by the last 3 governors on different things. It's not because I'm so smart, because I was the only dumb bastard there that probably put an application in or somebody recommended me. But we're in a position at this point in time that we can set the flag in the sand, and hopefully it'll solid up in the ground, or we pour concrete around it to where we make a substantial difference. And the reason it's important is because it's not a bobcat and a mountain lion issue at all. If you read the language, if you've read the language in the Blue Book, like Mr. Barr had alluded to, which is I think 109 pages, and it's 2.5 pages that has to do with Proposition 127. If you read it, it talks about intentionally killing, wounding, stalking, pursuing, and entrapping a mountain lion or bobcat. And then it defines that you can't do it by discharging or releasing a deadly weapon. I don't know how you guys interpret hunting, but that's what hunting is. And they're interpreting it as trophy hunting, and they're trying to bastardize us for being able to do science-based wildlife management under the North American model of wildlife conservation. Nothing can be further from the truth than what they're alluding to. But because Colorado Parks and Wildlife can't say anything because the governor has gag ordered them, and there's some statutory limitations on what they can say when it comes to ballot initiatives and legislation. If they can't talk, we have to talk for them, which we've been doing over the course of the last 13 months since this initial initiative dropped. We have a chance to alter a screw-up that happened in 2020 on Proposition 114 on the wolf. That's not a done deal. It's just that it happens that we can't fix it until we start to fix some of the stuff before us. Somebody before me mentioned Ordinance 308, the fur ban in Denver. That has to do with the sale, the display, the trade or barter of furs. But it does include fishing lures, and it includes cowboy hats. Beaver felt and rabbit fur cowboy hats. It also includes Native American crafts. It would prohibit the National Western Stock Show. It would prohibit the Indian market and the March powwow. Ordinance 309 is the slaughterhouse ban that they mentioned. It's one slaughterhouse that employs about 150 people. It's been there 7 years, and all it does is lambs. It's the largest lamb slaughterhouse in the western United States, and it does 70% of all the production in the western United States when it comes to lamb and sheep. They're screwing with your food, they're screwing with your fiber, they're screwing with your ability to manage wildlife and the ability to provide for yourself recreationally or to put meat in the freezer. This is not by happenstance that all three of these things come up at the same time. They have meticulously calculated and planned and strategized of how they're going to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And I will mention a book, especially for the young people here. If you haven't read it, you need to go out and buy it or get it off Amazon or find it at a used bookstore. But it's called The Blueprint. If you haven't read The Blueprint, pick it up and read it. It's a chronological order of what has happened over the course of the last 25 years, and the people that are in office now help formulate that. And some of the previous legislators, and I wish Mr. Liston was still here, but our current lobbyist for CRWM was in that book, and she was part of that. And it's one of the reasons why she didn't get reelected now that she's running for office in House District 58 again. And I will note, she is a Democrat, and not all Democrats are bad. And we have to turn around and figure out a way to work with Democrats that see ideological and methodologically, like I and Commissioner Williams and other people here. We are outnumbered 49-16 in the House and 23-12 in the Senate. If we think we're going to take that back over 1 year, it's not going to happen. So we have to figure out a way to either get them to understand who we are and where we come from, or get them to at least come to our side of the aisle when it's things of importance, because we're not going to change it overnight. And if we're going to make any headway, we have to figure out a way to be able to do that. And the reason I mention that is because of the makeup that we're dealing with on Proposition 127 is 27% Democrats, 23% Republicans, and 50% independents. And they are going to play a significant role in this election. No matter if you're talking the propositions or the initiatives, the statutory stuff, or the constitutional stuff. We have to figure out a way to find common ground, neutrality, compromise, whatever you want to call it. But there's a hell of a lot of Democrats out there that buy licenses to hunt and fish. And they supply a funding mechanism to Colorado Parks and Wildlife. And the people that you know, the young people that you know, the old people that you know, and it's pleasurable to see young people be able to come to a small event like this, but I'm seeing more and more of them that are coming out and wanting to help. And I'm finding out that a lot of them are independents and they don't care one way or the other. They don't have a particular affiliation because they're sick of the politics on this side, and their grandma was a Democrat and their grandpa was a Republican, and every Christmas or Thanksgiving they just heard everybody argue about the election. They just want stuff to be right for them. But to be right for them, it's right for the rest of us as well. We have to figure out a way to turn around and find that commonality to make this election at least plant a flag in the sand. And we know we're not going to be victorious on every single level. But if we can win those three things, Ordinance 308, Ordinance 309, and Proposition 127, and while I would love to see Proposition KK be victorious, I'm not so sure that's going to be the case, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that the general public sees, the lunacy of these things that are infringing on our rights and our beliefs, and our values and our morals and our ethics. The things that you can do to help us at this specific time when it comes to Proposition 127 in the next 24 days or whatever the hell it is, we still need money so we can go toe-to-toe, punch for punch, and tit for tat with the antis on the final buy of the advertising. We're being outspent on television about 2-to-1, and that's after us raising $2.8 million. We've done it in-state and out-of-state. We've done it organizationally and individually. We need people to turn around and vote. Like what's been said before, they need to be registered, but more importantly, you got to get your friends to be able to vote. So if there's 35 people here and we all talk to 10 people, that's pretty good following. Maybe they all talk to 5 people apiece, but they have to know it from in our hearts of why we are concerned with science-based wildlife management and the North American model to make that decision, because they're not going to do it on their own if they've never done it. They have to know why we want to pursue mountain lions and bobcats, and you need to explain to them that it's not so much whether you want it or don't. Let the experts manage Colorado's wildlife, not the people of Colorado. Let the science-based experts, whether we agree or 100% disagree with what CPW does, that's the best freaking thing that we got on our side, because I don't want the florist in Denver or the landscaper in Colorado Springs making my brain surgery decisions, and I don't want to manage my wildlife. I'll leave you guys with 2 notes. October 18th at the Capitol is a sportsman's rally. It's next Friday. It's from 11 to 2. It's to oppose Proposition 127. We're trying to get 1,000 to 1,500 people there, and you can bring your dog, and you can bring your camo, and you can bring your organizational banner or whatever you want. It's outside the governor's office. We got the permit for the 18th. There is no hunting season unless you're hunting the Eastern Plains. Second season starts the week after. First season ends on Wednesday. We need an optical illusion to be created with those tailgate wraps, the bumper stickers, the signs, the banners, anything that we can turn around and do to let the governor and the General Assembly and the media and the people in Colorado that get to see it on the media that we are a force to be reckoned with, and that we're not a bunch of gun-toting whack jobs, that we are conservation-minded sportsmen and women that care about Colorado's natural resources. And if we can't do that, it makes me wonder what we're going to be able to do on Election Day on the 5th. If it's not important enough for everybody to turn around and show up for one day for 3 or 4 hours, is it really important enough to turn around and try to fight for so you can go do it for a week out of the year? You have to turn around and figure out what's important. The antis do, the extremists do, and we're just asking people to turn around and belly up to the bar in the process. You can go to CRWM on Instagram. You can check us out at the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management on Facebook. You can look up SaveTheHuntColorado.com. That's the organizational website. And on a final note, you see the wording on the back of that tailgate where it says Colorado's wildlife deserve better. That's the issues campaign. That's the committee that we're forced to formulate under the Secretary of State's rules and guidelines. If you want to contribute or you want to find out more information about the campaign in the next week or so, go to wildlifedeservebetter.com. I've got yard signs in the back of the truck. If you want to take them, you don't have to make any up. I've got the big stickers, not as big as the tailgate, but I got the stickers that look just like that with the QR code, and vote no on 127 if you want some of those. I've got rack cards with all the information that if you want to carry in your truck, or if you want to talk to people at the supermarket, at Whole Foods or the gym, especially if you got a sticker on the back of your truck or your car, you can turn around and say, this is why it's important to all of us. It's not why it's important to me. So I brought all the swag that I could possibly give. I hope that you would take some of it. You're more than welcome to take 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 yard signs, give them out to some friends. Just don't put them on the road going out of this place, because somebody will end up tearing them down at some point in time, especially not on your place, on the Forest Service. Okay. Do what you can do in the next 24 days, but we'd love to see you on the 18th. And we'd love to turn around and make you part of our family. And as young Republicans, we'd like to be able to turn around and incorporate you into the conversation about what it takes to maintain science-based wildlife management. So with that, I'd answer any questions. I'll shut up, and you can go grab a beer and go fishing or riding four-wheelers or whatever you want to do. But I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate everybody willing to turn around and listen, because to us, this is the most important thing because of what could happen afterwards. So thank you very much.